In anima, you were paying attention to the most minute, subtle layer, goo, matrix substantial, placenta liquid, into which everything bathes. It is the all-pervading. And we can say that the Christ, Son of God, is in the womb of the Divine Mother. That's a beautiful image to use. We are in the womb of Divine Mother. This is anima. It gets you sensible to that. It gets you there. It gets you conscious to this completely balanced energy, feminine and masculine, and then as non-gender, which is not a polarity but complete unity of self. And you become conscious of what Christ is in the divine womb of Great Mother, God. Because you become sensible here. Anima means the smallest, something like the smallest, the most subtle. The second city is Mahima. Breathe. Mahima refers to the immensity of the universe. While in anima, even though this substance is all-pervading and immense, you're paying attention to just here the most refined substance, to taste it and get a grasp of it in its minuscule experience. In Mahima, you will expand in the universal substance to become the biggest. Mahima means the biggest, largest, most immense substance, which is composed of love in 5 modulated pure thoughts, which are the 5 elements. So while you do that, you don't have to keep in mind all this concept because it's too large. You don't have to keep in mind earth, fire, heavens, water, air, all the elements. This is Christ. No. You know this now, I told you. So you can just think, this is elemental flow. And you can use a visualization you want to imagine the water and the fires getting together, merging without vaporizing, except when there's air about it, and just having fun. And all these various experiences of the primordial goo before it became physical matter. Okay? So Mahima is the greatest, the most immense. We will get ready to meditate. We will start with the first city, and after only a minute, I'm going to guide you into the second. All right? Breathe. Empty your mind. Pay attention to your own conscious self. And start to sink in the highest pure thought. Anima. 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 From this state, start to expand Mahima. Expand Mahima. Think of the greatest Mahima. Become the immensity. Mahima. It's not you becoming larger. You're just becoming conscious that you already are as immense of the universe. Mahima. You are galactic permutation, stars upon themselves. Fire, water, and earth, all the elements at a galactic proportion of self. Mahima. And lose yourself in the immensity. Mahima. 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 Breathe and continue. Mahima. Relax. Lose yourself in immensity. Mahima. 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 Softly come back to yourselves. Stay in this enhanced state of consciousness, but open your eyes. For a moment, you are not just a human now, but open your eyes softly to be present. And very softly, you will stand up. Very softly, you have to open your eyes first, and then stand up and relax and be standing up. Relax softly, very softly. Try to open your eyes. You so much love to be in the transcendental state that you just want to close your eyes and fall asleep for 10 years. I understand you. We do this standing up, eyes open, while our elevated state is so expanded, we're conscious as a human, so we're bringing it in. We bring it in here to be conscious as God in human level awareness. Now you sit down and relax. Drink water. Please do. It's important. This little freshness gets into you. Namo Bhagavate Vajaya Guru Venduda Prabharajaya Tathagataya Harati Samyak Sambudaya Tajata Mavaloki Lukati Karate Herrim Mahabodhisattva Om. Just mixing energies to connect the stuff usually don't go together, but it just makes sense if you understand Sanskrit. So you saw how you just disconnected from human reality just for an instant, knocking a few nails. This is the elevated state of self. You have been Christ for a fraction of time when you just went like this. You lost consciousness temporarily. It's not falling asleep, it's transcending. It is just for a moment that the range of consciousness is so high that your mind loses track of it. Because it's too big for the mind, human mind to understand. Mahima. But you do get there. And you come back and you've got all these energies in you. So let's say your range of consciousness is about this size. Well, most people have about this size. They're conscious of their physical health. They have an idea of their level of vitality. They think they understand emotion. But if most people say that they are aware of their mind, of their thoughts, and it's not the case, they're enslaved to it. Because if they want to stop thinking, they can't. Okay? So most of you are not completely aware of how the intellect works. You use it. But can you fix a point and stop thinking for 1 minute? Have no mental activity simply because you want it. Eventually you'll get there. Don't worry. Okay? Then you master your mind. Let's say your bracket is about this size. You meditate, you elevate your consciousness. You don't feel anything physical, but you're starting to get into the wisdom, and then you don't have any emotion, and then your intellect just disconnected. But you are here. It's just your range of consciousness that elevated, and then you came back down, and then I asked you to stand up. While you were somewhat here, I'll ask you to stand up so that you want to be there. So you start to stretch your range of consciousness. So your range eventually stretches out. And while you're physically aware, you start to be aware of the wisdom of self and then the soul. And you expand. And when you transcend, go like this. And then you get back. Until you are physically conscious of yourself as God. Okay, you just expand your consciousness. This is why we meditate. And when you transcend, it's wonderful because your human doesn't know that you are conscious as a self. And then you come back. And after doing this about 200, 300 times, you start to remain conscious of the human experience while you are consciously transcending. This is why when everyone is transcending, because everyone is pulled to the higher level of self, I'm sitting there watching you, paying attention. I'm transcending like you guys do. I simply don't lose physical contact. Because I just got used to it. I'm not better than you guys. I'm as good as anyone doing this for 24 years. Within only a few months, you're going to start to get conscious experiences of being Christ. It doesn't mean you're enlightened. It doesn't mean you're awakened. It simply means that you are starting to be aware of what you are. Sometimes you're going to say, I looked at the tree and I knew I was the tree. I'm enlightened. Well, okay, but someone steals your TV and you just got into the drama. Ah, well, yeah, you know? It's not only expanded perception, enlightenment. It's also being perfected in the state of self. Takes time. Yep.
So the book, Power versus Force, that it gives a number of measuring consciousness. It's not measuring enlightenment then.
No.
Because they use like Christ has like 1,000 points of, you know. If they
Yeah, well, that's Hindu-based philosophy.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so.
I don't want to get into this.
Okay.
Okay. Supernatural abilities is not an indication of one's level of enlightenment. Look at these people manage drama. Take the enlightened monks in the temples, in the monasteries, fixing the wall for 20 years, awakened, completely blissful, saying they are not attached. Of course they're not attached, they have nothing to attach to. Bring them into a family, have them have sex a few times, give them a computer for 2 weeks and then take it away. And look at them go. Produce reason for attachment and watch them how they master the concept of attaching and detaching and all this stuff. You'll see that a lot of people roam around saying they're enlightened. They're simply powerful, elevated. Of course they're elevated. Of course they're enlightened. On a scale 1 to 10, there's another scale. This is a scale of from creator to physical body. From immensity to 1 point on the map, your body. There's another scale from 1 to 10. We call it the Bodhisattva scale. When you awaken, you become a Bodhisattva. When you snap out of a drama, you're at level 1 on this scale. Before that, you're just off the scale at level 0. And enlightenment is at level 3 of the scale. You still have 7 layers to go to get to Buddhahood or Christ self. So you can be enlightened but be at various levels. And I know a few enlightened masters that are convinced I'm not enlightened. And I'm just confusing people. Regardless of the fact that most people that study with me after a few months are awakened. Anyway, I respect them. I come to them, I kneel, I bow to the greatness they are. Because I have nothing to prove to them. I know they're great. Why should I kneel? It's not different than the God that I am. It's God that I am. There. One of the traits of Rama, one of the incarnations of Vishnu in the Hindu philosophy, one of the traits of Rama was his discretion. He would go to any master and bow to them and submit to their will so that these masters could feel good about him, to feel empowered. To have such a great being as Rama bow to them, you know, so that it would infatuate them. Because Rama used this to show them how great they are, so that they could get there. Okay? He's the incarnation of Vishnu. He was a Jesus. Okay? About the level. Didn't care. I can tell you where I am. I'm not at the Jesus type. No. I'm a ball breaker. I give teaching how great it is to suffer. No, sorry, how great it is to be relieved of suffering. And doesn't exist. So don't worry about all these scales and stuff. Just do your thing. And practice your non-attachment. Okay? Practice yourself at doing your thing. And go seek the wisdom where you are excited to go seek it. If you want to study with someone, please do. What I just said is I don't care if you never want to come back to my seminars and you prefer the other seminars of some other dude. Because no one owns no one. The reason why my teachings work is that I don't really respect you anyway. I don't mind if you suffer. I do not depend on you loving me, so I can offend you. You might go away, it's okay. You know? This is why I say, this is shame, this is that, this is ego. And I can speak of those things, and if you get offended, it doesn't matter. You'll get it in 10, 20 years. It doesn't matter. Okay? So this is why I'm a bit blunt, but it gets you up to speed. In the end, you'll have to suffer a certain amount for each wisdom you get. Anyway, that's how it works. Natural forces. I'm getting back to Mahima. Mahima is all that. From the Creator, just below it, boom, everything. It's all the vibrations, all the permutations, all the consciousness, all the types of energies, all the 5 elements at every one of their level of manifestation. It's everything. It's so great, your ego disappears in that. Think about this. You are a point in this room. You're just a physical presence big like this, and you're in this room. Imagine the size of your body right now compared to the entire city of Amarillo. You're not that big, eh? Compared to the Earth. Now compare that to the galaxy. There's 1 billion galaxies or something in the universe. This is how your ego feels when you do Mahima. So your ego just disappears in the all greatness. And you become aware of that. So this is why we do Siddhi. Anima, become conscious of the most subtle energy, which is Christ. Mahima, become the most immense energy, which is Christ. All bathing in the divine womb of Mother. Oh, I love Mother so much. We males, we own the world, you know? We drop a bit of goo into some lady. 9 months later, child comes. Sorry about that. Child comes. We pick it up. Look at what I made. It's my son. I made that. Give it back to the mother, who doesn't care because she's completely aware she did all the work anyway. And the guy goes, drinks a beer, smokes a cigar. Okay? Convinced this is what he did. A powerful man is one that is aware of all the work that is taken care of by the woman. A powerful woman is a woman that is considerate of all the work that is done by the man. That's how it works, through awareness. So you got this business guy at the head of the business, and he gives orders to like 150 people, a staff playing in the manufacture, in the industry. And then he goes out to the trucks where they load the merchandise, and he picks one box, and he takes one of the items. He said, I made that, look at this is mine. Yes, he is technically the owner, the one who is allowed to be socially in relationship with this object until he sells it to a distributor or a retailer, okay? But he takes the object, and he speaks like if none of the 150 people inside did it. Self-centered boss. Businesses that work is when the head management is considerate of the feminine aspect of all that goes on in the building and the industries that are actually doing the real job. Soldering every bits and bolts and stuff. So when you pray God, if He's a man, you are not going to achieve nothing. If God, when you pray, is strictly a woman, you're not going to achieve anything. You have to feel that consciousness of God is like the sperm of the Father. And everything in the universe is in the womb of Divine Mother. And all this aspect of non-sexuality non-gender, is the source of it. So, undefined God. If you have an idea what God is, you're wrong. When you feel lost and you can only rely on faith to pray, you got it. If you have a definition on what God is, your God is about there. Right? If you don't know, then you gain wisdom. Then you have a soul. Eventually you become conscious of God as experience, not as understanding. And when you get the experience there, you'll understand because it's going to be so obvious until you get here. When you get here, it is total, absolute silence. In the complete silence of the self, while you are aware of each plane, staying awake as a human, as a self, and as a divine being, at this state of perception, there's only pure silence. And you stay there. And when you come back out of the creator process, whatever you bring back, whatever first pure thought you have, whams, brings into place. I went there once. I went there many times, but one time, let's say December. I want to interact with people in the field of justice. I go to the silence of God, self, knowing I'm also the Father of all things. There is no movement. I'm fixing a point, immobile, conscious of everything for 2 hours. Not moving. Just waiting for the moment that will just happen. And I get back, conscious of my implication in fields of justice. In 5 ways, people in the realms of justice contact me almost immediately. Let's say a week. Not so long ago, I received a medal from a SWAT team. I received congratulations from this and that, and people in Homeland Security give me congratulation cards. So I wanted to have something that could say, oh, I'm a good person for the homeland, so I'm not a threat. You know? And it just popped in. I created that. One time I said to myself, I'd like to speak to scientific people. I received a letter invitation asking me to speak at a quantum physics convention with the elite of scientific people in the world. And then I see that most of the scientific people are just so stubborn. Did you hear that? Convinced they know everything. So I said, I'd rather go to the delegates people, let's say the United Nations. They seem to be open-minded. I received a letter from the United Nations asking me to go somewhere to speak. They bring me to Vietnam to speak to some delegate thing. And I noticed that the delegates and the United Nations people are not monks in temples. They are delegates in congress rooms, and they still blab a lot. So, okay, what can I do to make the world better? Let's start with justice. It happened. I'm trying stuff in this new society. I think happens. You want to get there. Yeah, you really do. It won't be about creating money. You want money?
Yeah, sure.
No, you don't. You just think you do. So I asked this lady, what do you want? She says, I want money. Why? I want to buy a house. Okay, good. So you don't want money, you want a house. Focus on that. You have to be authentic with yourself. She says, oh yeah, that's good, perfect. Why do you want a house? Oh, well, I want to raise a family. Oh, so you don't want a house. You want a proper place to raise a family. Forget the house. Think of the proper place to raise a family, and don't try to control how God will bring you that. You don't decide if it's done through money or through heritage or through anything that happens. Say, oh yeah, the true essence of what I want is to have a good place to, and have a family. Good. Why do you want a family? So she said, well, and she was stuck. You need to identify the emotion behind the desire. But I want to hold my children, and I try to make her say by herself, I want to be loved. Ah, you want to be loved. Now you can focus on being loved It will create the money so you can buy a house and have a suitable place, or you can be loved. Everything happened. Not the way she expected. You don't control God. This entire law of attraction thing, you see the people on the videos that it worked for, they don't show you the 90% of people that tried it for years and never got anything because they're so attached, expecting, controlling how God would bring that, thinking that I, the ego, am empowered, and the Christ is something useless to my domination of this world. I simply have to sit and believe I got it. And then go play the lottery and expect a lot of stuff that don't turn out. May your will be done, my Lord. I let go. It's yours. I desire to be loved and to love. And the moment that you have ideas on how you'd like that, but it's okay if it's not exactly like that. It's just, I'd like to, like, the order form is like, could it be a red car? But, I mean, do what we want. I just need transportation. Okay. And the car comes in, it's probably red. Okay? Don't control God. These movies like The Secret and the law of attraction, the law of attraction thing and all the manifestation thing is a great tool. It's a wonderful blessing for a whole lot of people who are only attached to materialistic gain to start trying to be spiritual. So it does the job. When they find out that just this little set of manifestation doesn't work that much, they start to seek more. So they go from materialist to spiritualist because of that. So it's good. But if you want to become a creator, there's only one way. Get there. Cities will get there. I did the first city for 8 years because I was never told the second. Eventually I was told the others and took the time and learned a whole lot of stuff. If you understand what's the ego, what's the human, what's the self, what's the divine self, and you take the time to meditate, take the time to do the practices. If you do the practices with physical interaction, this is not a solution to save your soul. This is just a little tool. It's a trinket. If you don't have it, you will still enlighten in a different way. You will enlighten in the way you set your mind you would. So Buddhists who stay immobile for 20 years in front of a wall, just eating every day a bit and then going back, they enlighten. They don't have to come back when they die. And they will spend the eternity immobile in void. It's okay. That's not my way of being Almighty God, Lord, Self. I like the power tripping thing. So I like to use malas and trinkets and manipulate physical things and do it here, consciously here, through a physical, tangible experience of love. So when I enlighten again and again, when I stop coming back, well, I started spending a lot of time in this heaven. Anyway, I'm going to spend time in the conscious set I created myself already for a while. And you're going to want to do that also. And I know I'm going to spend eternity afterwards playing with universal forces because I love that. And this is how I've done it the first time. And I've always been about that. Play God for so long, you'll become it. At first, you'll pretend to be God in front of your fellow humans. You'll become so arrogant, they're going to hate you. And you'll see, oh, it creates suffering. I'm going to stop being pretentious. Then you go and you try the occult sciences and you do this and that and the stuff works, stuff doesn't work. You're going to grow your way out of it. But eventually you're going to become conscious of what it is to be the self. So take the path you want. If you want to relax for eternity, but be conscious, not in void, but consciously relaxing in a spa for eternity, do it this way. Use the CD path. Relax in the immensity of self. You're going to do that forever. And you're going to have the power to choose to do other things. If you want to party forever, chant the mantras of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And shave your head, dress orange, clink, with the donation alms box. And those who enlighten in the energy of Krishna, they spend their lifetime, their eternity, partying with Krishna. Because Krishna enlightened, having a ball, having party as God. So he spends eternity feasting. And a guru I studied with, who is fully accomplished, told me that the most beautiful heavens is the one that Jesus made. The most beautiful paradise is the one that Jesus made. So gentle and natural, like if you were just walking in a holy, blessed land. So those enlightened and completely accomplish themselves in the teaching of Jesus, they go in Jesus' heaven. But the same guru said, it's a good thing to accomplish yourself as a devotee of Krishna and spend eternity with Krishna. But from my point of view, it's enslavement. You should enlighten and accomplish yourself as the one self. And then you don't depend on someone else's events. But it's much more easier to accomplish yourself and stop reincarnating by spending your life just chanting the mantras of Krishna until he drags you there because you invoked it. If you want to do it alone and be the master of your universe, the master of your heavens, and be conscious that you are the creator of all things at this level, you have to do it all. You have to integrate all your ego patterns, all your emotions. You have to do the work all alone. In spirituality, there is no friendship. There is only respect. You end up facing God one-on-one until the one-on-one dissolves, becomes one. Okay? So I just gave you a ton of information that made no sense one to the other. Leading your consciousness in states that your mind does not really grasp for the past hour. Okay? But you have a feeling inside, don't you? Stay there. We take a small break.